Today, I'm welcoming Jessica, my good friend and fellow traveler on this spiritual journey. She offers wonderful insight on these sometimes difficult topics. Together, we hope to provide spiritual context for worldly chaos. Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And let's begin. Welcome, Jessica. It's so awesome to have you on. It's so great to have you as my other half of this conversation.
Oh, thank you. I'm elated. I'm so excited for what's next. And to be here and to talk to you, it's almost as good as in person.
Oh my God. Yeah, Jessica and I have been friends for 7 or 8 years. And we have conversations all the time that don't necessarily start out spiritual, but they usually end spiritually. And they'll end like 5 hours later too. Like we just should have recorded it because it's like we enlightened all of humanity with our conversations, but all of them are lost to the wind. So we're bringing them back and we're bringing them on this podcast and we're bringing them to you. And we hope you join in over time using the fan mail in the show notes. It's going to say, send me a text. And if any of you want to join in on the conversation at any point, please feel free to send us a text.
Yes, this is the first and last time I will ever solicit sliding into my DMs.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was funny, Jessica.
Oh, she's funny.
She is funny. Yeah, she's a Leo moon. Aries moon, Leo moon, Gemini rising. Okay, wait, I'm literally looking at you and saying this. Vanessa is the Aries moon. Jessica is the Leo moon. Vanessa is the Leo rising. Jessica is the Gemini rising. And then Jessica is an Aquarian. That's her sun sign is Aquarius, and my sun sign is Libra. So we just have so many sextiles and trines going on between us that it's like no wonder we really enjoy each other's conversation.
Well, funny you say that because you took one of my questions right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you to explain why it is that we do what we do, like how.
Oh my goodness,
how we are so simpatico.
Oh, I love that. Actually, let's start here. And just to let everybody know, we wanted to start this first episode off with asking each other questions because I think that Jessica is so wise and has a lot of insight into especially relationships and growth, spiritual growth, personal growth. And I think we get along well just in general because I've always been obsessed with that too. So it's just been a very nice alignment. But if we want to talk astrologically, that's a huge reason because you have fires, I have fires, you have air, I have air. We have squares, which I think is super important because that brings a new perspective on things and it challenges the perspective of the other person, or it is simply recognizing that both people have different needs, different wants, different attractions, different journeys. And I think that's also a really good part of our conversation is that in essence, we both have a need to see things from a wider perspective, but the way that we communicate is what like kind of keeps us going the whole time, like going for 5 hours, these airs and fires. But then the squares within us are where we see how the other person responds to their own needs, how our conversations don't have to be like, identical twins in order for us to have a great, insightful, enlightening thoughts. And I think that, we both have dealt with a lot of struggles. We both have expected more from ourselves. And I think that, actually, this isn't one of my questions, but I'm curious what you would say about this. I think that we both look at life look at our own experience of life as something that can get better. I don't know if everybody naturally thinks that way or that optimistically about the idea that what you are in this world is not only up for debate because you can change, you can evolve, you can grow, but that pain and suffering isn't always a predictable feeling. It's like, it's not always something that's going to be within you. It's something that you have to kind of work through, and you feel a little less in pain or a little less suffering from certain things the more you work through those things. And I think that that's something that either I would like to offer to anybody listening is that optimism, the fact that if you do align with yourself or connect with yourself more, that you can change and that things inside of you internally can change, but that also it may take a long time and you may not know exactly what did it, but that everything is a part of that evolution. And I think that's also what gratitude is. Everything has brought me to the person that I am, even the things that have been adversaries or obstacles or blocks, they also have brought me to the person that I am. So yeah, I'm curious, what do you think about that, about the fact that you must be at least a little bit optimistic about your future if you keep trying to feel better?
Yeah. I'm not going to let you get that one for free because I feel like that fully encircles the tagline, the byline, the spiritual context for worldly chaos. I'm reminded of life is happening at me. When there's pain, when there's suffering, which is permanent, it's the only constant in the impermanence of our realities and our existence and our comings and goings. Pain and suffering, it's happening. But while that is constant, it's the decision that you make internally to engage with the external. How do you decide to align with the world around you? Because if the world is happening to you, if life is happening at me, I can be upset. I can be irritable. I can be discontent. I can want more. I can want something different, something bigger, something better. But if I align with the reality that is, and I understand where the rocks are, I can flow like amongst them. So it's like the optimism isn't internal, but it's like it's an alignment with the external world. Because like I feel like I'm being pressed into a diamond right now, and it's because I'm being presented with like everything that I thought that I wanted or needed, and it's not what I want or need. And choosing a different path is pressing me. I am so annoyed that I'm choosing to evolve and to step into a different alignment. Um, and it is bringing me like making that uncomfortable choice. And despite the fear, I'm choosing to take that step towards what the universe, like what the chaos is presenting me. I'm like honing I feel as though I'm honing my intuition and I'm able to follow those leads or those thoughts or those hunches and step towards or slip past that rock into a path that is unknowable, is scary, but I feel optimistic because it's beyond my own comprehension. You catch my drift?
I love that. I think that that's kind of the essence of what we experience when we accept a spiritual side of ourselves, is that it is all unknown,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing is guaranteed. Obviously, if we have a collective idea that no one's better than another person or deserves more than another person, then that also equates to our spiritual deserving, that we are corks on an ocean and you may never see land. But it is living within that reality that you still have the ability to do things, to maneuver, to take those risks, to try new things, to fail and get back up, to succeed and then fail. I mean, it's just, that's life. Life just keeps going on. That's interesting. So let me ask you a question again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my question that I had written down for you. And you might have actually talked a little bit about it, but I'd like to hear, now that I ask you, I'm curious what you're going to say. So, from us talking about co-hosting this together, that my biggest question for people in general who long for a spiritual connection, read about spirituality or try to talk about spirituality, or, have groups of people that they talk about metaphysics and all that kind of stuff. What is it that you're looking for? No pressure. But what is it that you believe spirituality is going to give you over, say, your ego holding on to a career succession, or your ego holding on to a relationship, or your ego holding on to money, or your ego holding on to any part of your identity or any part of some sort of worldly success, right? So what is it about spirituality that feels like the answer to you? Or what is it that you think that, maybe broadly speaking, for everybody, if you could speak for everybody?
Funny you should ask me this on the new moon in Cancer, because I was listening to your reading, and what stuck out to me was the emotional patterns that I've been repeating in the name of safety. And is that safety real anymore? And that's what I'm looking for in spirituality and like in exploring this and getting an understanding, just kind of uploading the map, and sort of seeing where I'm at and all the possibilities of where I could go. It's imbuing me with like an excitement and a fear, that respectful fear I have for the ocean. We know more about outer space than we know about the ocean. That is just a truth. And yet I continue to jump into the ocean. I love it, you know? So it's that excitement for getting into something that I know nothing about. But I'm so clearly at a crossroad right now where there is this sort of material for lack of a better word. It's the crossroad is literally spiritual and material, or like spiritual and what is known. You know, over the last couple of weeks as we've been diving into this endeavor together, simultaneously three opportunities came onto my plate, and it was a job, you know, a physical on-site job, and then this career path that I sort of pursued was me casting a line, and then a person, you know, a cute boy. And they all happened literally on the same day. And I said, yes, I'll take it all. Thank you. I'm starving. And immediately realized that that was unsustainable and like just improbable. Like it wouldn't, it was crazy. And I wanted to say yes to everything. And I quickly realized that I couldn't have everything, that it was unsustainable and I would collapse. And that it would be disrespectful to try and entertain everything at once. You know, I wouldn't be giving anything my full oomph. And by trying to do it all, I probably would have failed at everything. All three options would have just collapsed. And I, you know, my quality of living would have gone down because I could have abandoned myself to step up to all these opportunities. But so that is the emotional patterning that I would pursue. It's like a no-brainer. I would have sought the person. I would have said yes to the person and become everything that they needed and or wanted, or because that is a container which I understand, and it's a container which I've made myself small enough to fit into before. And by meeting somebody else's needs, I can just forsake myself. But instead, and last night I chose, like there was this split, this crack that I decided to just let break me. And I realized that that container isn't safe. Even though it's familiar, it's not safe because that safety is not real. I'm making myself small. The real safety comes from being able to step off the island, step out of the container, and expand and become almost like a cork on the ocean, become stable within your own construction, like of self and confidence in self, self-esteem, like security in the fact that you are capable, you are adaptable, you can evolve, you can expand, you can float. And like while the outside world is unpredictable and brings good, bad, and ugly, you become, I want to build that integrity in the core of myself, and like choosing to let go of that container, which I used to, you know, the toy trunk I used to hide in as a kid because I was surrounded by fluffy, stuffy animals, and I was hiding, you know, because I didn't know that I could become capable of like maintaining myself through it all.
And I think that's also beautiful that you realized that no matter what, if a person wants to be in your life, be it a cute boy or a friend or a family member or anybody that has a relationship with you, you can stand in what's important to you. And they should not feel the trigger of getting your attention or feeling unloved because you're not shining your light entirely on them. And as a person who feels that that's easier for you to be what another person wants you to be, or to reflect what another person maybe not can't even say out loud. You know, you can just hear it. And so that's that intuition that's flowing inside of you. There's no real spoken words. When you declare what's important to you, and if in that moment it isn't them, and even if they're okay, even if they don't flinch, even if it doesn't bother them, it's you that you're talking to. What you find important, you fought for or you defended to yourself, that it also can feed you, that it also has something for you. And if this person is a person that is meant to stay in your life, you finding things important and putting your effort and your attention to that thing doesn't diminish whatever it is that you're experiencing with them.
Yeah, exactly. Because thus far, the stories that I've told myself have been the stories of failure or like inability to meet other people's needs, instead of like by saying no, I was saying no to myself because I could only contextualize myself in like triangulation to their expectations of me.
What you just described, that's called a boundary.
Oh. Ah, Wow.
That's what it means to say that you are the authority, the ruler of your boundary. It has nothing to do with making someone else do what you want them to do, or it's not a rule where that person can or can't do something because it hurts you. It's you saying, I know who I am and I know what I do. And I have to be conscious of what I do because I know that that always leads to some kind of self sabotage. So I have to trust that's spirituality. I have to trust that this new way of behaving is going to get me what I want.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Jessica had her own moment right there. That's good.
That was yes. Yes. Whew. So why is this happening right now? I feel like you and just for getting listeners current, I recently crossed the country and it was a huge learning opportunity. And right out of the gate, or even before when it was just conceptualized, you mentioned something about a Pluto transit. And
Pluto. Yeah, Pluto
then
is conjunct your sun and opposite your moon. Yeah.
once I got across the country, there was something else coming into play that it all lined up. We were synchronized. I'm synchronized with the transits. And it just felt like everyone around me was saying the same thing. Like we were all having monumental transitions and like our understanding of our career and our home and our finances and just embodiment almost. And it feels that the Aquarian happening right now is not a coincidence. So that's one of my questions for you, Vanessa.
Why now?
Why now?
This question scares me and super excites me because I've been conceptualizing the Aquarian for like since I've known you, and it's been this huge nebulous idea that could never be supported by anything because it's just too big for just me. And it's too connective for it to stop at a certain place, like just to stop at psychic work or to stop at just healing work as it pertains to psychic work, like Reiki and channeling and all those kinds of things. And so it's been a really hard road in general to figure out when is the right time because it's always been in me. However, because I am an astrologer, it does make it easier to look at timing and say, okay, well, for some reason, I think it's supposed to start when Pluto moves into Aquarius, but that's a long time from now, from the time that I started. I started about 7 years ago doing this. And then, the pandemic happened. Maybe if it was the right time, I would have done it then. But the thing is that the Aquarian is built off of my core beliefs, my core energy, my core confidence in myself. And if I don't feel in alignment with myself, it's not going to work because that I also think is what spirituality is for me, is being able to communicate, translate what is being said spiritually, or what I'm hearing spiritually or feeling spiritually. This time in my life, I've become the clearest that I think I've ever been. There is not a single thing that is holding me back from my full potential, except maybe money. But even then, that money has nothing to do with potential. It has to do with ease and comfort and how quickly you can get something. But I have no relationship issue. And I'm not even meaning I'm single, but even if I was in a relationship, for how much I have evolved, I would imagine that the relationship that I was in is at least an authentic one. I have no real qualms with myself. I have forgiven a lot of things that I had a really hard time forgiving for a very long time. And I've accepted things about myself that I don't even think I realized I needed to accept. A lot of things that you have to accept. It's usually the thing that you're telling yourself you don't need. If you're even talking about it in your mind, you probably need it. It's just maybe not in the form that you're viewing it in. It's probably like in a prism instead of like a straight line of light. So you're kind of breaking it up around shame or around embarrassment or around, whatever. But I'm definitely not in the way anymore. And I think that's why now is a good time.
I like how for you it's a point in your evolution. Like you've done the work to heal and to evolve. And for me, it is sort of a presentation, like an opportunity to accept the next stage of my evolution. I mean, I guess it is for both of us, but like you've kind of done the work where you can say yes, and mine is doing the work to be able to say, okay, like you feel prepared and I feel willing.
Okay, so my question for you is, how do you connect spiritually? What do you do? Do you work with things that are physical? Do you work with your mind? Do you meditate? Do you read? What is your spiritual maintenance right now?
That's a banger. Thought management, thought work. Um, you can do it like it's the weight of the world, or move with it like it's part of the dance. Managing my thoughts, listening to my thoughts, owning my thoughts, not letting my thoughts own me, and letting that build the color catalog with which I paint and engage with the world, and enjoying that sort of abundance. And I'm listening. I feel like you and I talked about something last week about shifting from hypervigilance towards hypervigilance in relation to danger, and then hypervigilance towards integrity. And so if integrity comes from within, what am I building with? I'm managing my thoughts. I'm listening, since I've built in safety, or not built in safety, but built out danger. I feel calmer, more capable of listening to the cues. Things that were once a hunch are now an intuitive thought, which is now a capability. I'm able to select what I do and don't engage with. Like, what is my joy? What is my sort of baseline? So to access that, what I have done, because I guess those management protocols are sort of passive, right? That's being able to relax, being able to listen, being able to observe, being able to choose. And to get there, I try to meditate. I give myself grace in the trying, which again is coming from within. I pray to a higher power, and that is just quite simply to forward the email. To relax, to yeah, I'm on the bike. I love riding my bike. Can I let go of the handlebars and risk wiping out? So through meditation, I'm able to listen, and through prayer, I'm able to communicate, which gives me just more context with myself. Other than that, I'm building a physical presence. I've always enjoyed moving. By engaging with spirituality passively, I feel like I'm moving towards active spirituality, like, because I feel like the body is truly a temple, and I'm learning how to worship within mine and decorate the space that I exist in. That is spirituality to me currently.
That's really important too, because you're a Leo moon, and the moon is the body and subconscious thoughts, and just the sort of like the running dialogue that you have in your mind that you might not really be paying attention to. And the fire moon needs to get in their body.
You said that to me
Oh, really?
like 5 years ago.
I love that you
You're like,
remember
yeah, you need
this.
a physical practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I forget what we were talking about. I think it was just bartending. It
Yeah.
was just, I think I had gone into management and I wasn't spending as much time running around the floor. And that was, I think, the first time you said that, like, Leo moon, you need to be physical. You need to exert yourself. If you don't have a physical practice, you will climb up a tree mentally.
Or you'll use your body in ways that don't make you feel good, like
Yeah. If you don't use it, it'll use you.
Exactly. Like, it needs to get something out regardless,
Yeah.
like no matter what, it's coming out.
And so I ask you the same thing. I mean, you have such, you are locked in, you're jacked in. You've got the world, you have so many resources, you can see so much and hear so much, understand so much, that what is your private, I guess it wouldn't be private if you shared it, but what is your spiritual practice currently? If you can kind of tune into everything, how do you hone in?
being such a spiritually minded person, you'd think I'd have a more concrete way that I connect with the universe. I have sought spirituality since I think can remember. I mean, even like in elementary school, there's like a library that's in between my school and my house. And all of us would stop off and we'd go to like the local, I don't know, like I guess it was a diner. It was inside of a mini mall, but it looked like a soda joint, like it was really 1950s. But right next to it was the library. So we'd all go get like donuts and we'd hang out. And then I would go into the library and all I would do was read mythology. That's all I'd do. And years and years of like I'll even go back to old journals that I've found from when I was in my teenage years and I'm drawing hieroglyphs and stuff. Like it's just how much I've been obsessed with this is kind of nuts since it's been so second nature that I don't look at it like it's something that's a part of me. It just really is just a part of me. So now I've noticed I'm very burnt out on intaking information. I think that I would be far more aggressive about it if I felt more stable in my life. You know this, that I'm in between jobs and it's a really stressful time. And it's been a really stressful time because the economy has gone crazy. And that's also why I would love to build the aquarium, because it would be wonderful to be all of myself and not split myself constantly to be a human being, And I would probably be reading like a book a day if I could, because that's how I used to spiritually manicure. But yeah, I do tend to meditate throughout the day. It's not like a time. And I look at everything as, how did I respond? How did I respond? There are certain times that I have not had a control over my response, and I will bring that time back up and I will reflect on it. And it's not really flogging myself, but it's more so, what do you want to give to other people, even in terms of like energy? Who do you want to be? That's integrity, right? Like what you were talking about. And I think that's a part of my spiritual practice is living up to what I think a lot of people have said about me, which is that I'm a kind person. I used to be very resentful towards being that kind of person because I would be used a lot. But it was really the naivete of and lack of discernment of who deserved my generosity in such an intimate way. And now I'm extremely fortunate to have so many friends that I love dearly, that I get to be as generous as I want to be, or I get to be as open-hearted as I want to be, because it's not something they're using. It's not something that they feel they own or that they want to control. It's something that they want to be a part of and that they feel special to be a part of. And then I feel special that I'm a part of their lives. So I think that's kind of my spiritual maintenance right now, is connecting and staying connected to my essence. When I get out of alignment, to forgive myself, because we're all human. Like if I snap, I snap. Like sorry, I have an Aries moon. Like what are you gonna do? Toughen up. No, I'm just kidding. But the evaluation process is more important to me now, and it is spiritual to me now, to weigh my intention, their intention, my motivation, their motivation, and to consistently ask myself if I am allowing myself to be myself as much as I possibly can, at least in my own private life. But baseline is being as authentic as I can and allowing that to shine with people that I love. My last question to you is, what do you want the audience to get from our conversations? What are you hoping to help with, to inspire?
That's a good one. I'd like people to feel less lonely, less confused. We're all in our individual experiences, and each story is unique in its build, in the content, and the timelines, and the plot. But we are all books. We are all the same in that way, that we are all having a human experience. And I want to just pull back the curtain on just the abundance of resources that there is to relate to, and to relate to one another, and to triangulate, to understand the map. It's like a world building map. I just want to unfog more corridors, more chambers, and give people a bigger space to explore and to understand and to relate. You just have such a grasp on, I respect everything that you're about. And I love your energy. Like, I just love you. You know, and I have the luxury of an established relationship with you that I just want to bring people in on, like, onto everything that you're about and we're about. And like, I want people to feel that they are sitting in the room with you and me and learning with me, and opening the forum.
There's a lot of rhetoric that keeps you in one or the other camp. Either I don't know anything or I know everything. And I just think that's not only completely unrealistic, but it's not human. It's not possible. So I think that's why I also love co-hosting this with you, because I don't think that I have all of the answers. I do think that I have looked at myself for long enough that I can either find something that you might find valuable, which is where my psychic work and all that kind of stuff comes in, but that I can give you the space to feel what you need to feel and offer you the questions that I'm hearing from my guides, from myself, from the universe, that help you get to what it is that you need to hear from yourself. So all this stuff we're going to get into on another time, but we are going to wrap this one up. Hope that you all are enjoying it. And please just use the fan mail to let us know if you're enjoying it, or if you have a question, or if you want to comment on anything. You just send me a text in the show notes at the very top, and we will receive whatever you want to say. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Vanessa.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Please check your weekly emails for any new offerings and giveaways. And until next week, blessed be.